Hello and welcome to Business Spotlights, and I'm delighted to be joined by Andrew Meek, who is the Managing Director at AGM Group. Good morning.
Morning, Yvonne. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good. Thanks for joining us today. So, Andrew, tell us a bit about what you do at AGM Group.
Well, I'm the Managing Director of the group. We have several operating divisions within the group. We've got a fit-out business, AGM Interiors, carries out fit-out and construction. You maintain our maintenance division, and AGM Building Services, which is a mechanical and electrical division, and I oversee the operations of all these entities.
Okay, so we'll get into that in a wee bit, but did you start the business from scratch? How did you come to be where you are just now?
Yes, I did. I started it back in 2004, so we're our 19th year now, and so that's where it started.
And what made you want to start a business? Because it's quite a bold thing to do.
Well, I think I've always fancied doing it. When I was 17, I moved away from home and moved down to Birmingham for a graduate sponsorship program with BMW, and part of that, I ended up managing to get opportunities to work in the legal department and work with them setting up different companies during that sort of journey. So I was open to how it was done and what you needed to do to start a company. So that was great. And then when I was about 22, I decided to move back up to Scotland, and I was trying to get a job, and I was fully qualified by this point, but there just wasn't any opportunities. So I decided to move up and thought, you know what, I'm going to give this a go myself, setting up a company, and that's what I did. So I had to move back, humble beginnings, back to the parents' spare bedroom, and go back to, you know, after having been away for 5 years, it was like, right, go back just in order to get that start, you know, working twilight shifts in factories and things like that, and just in order to get going. And then once I had that, we were able to just grow. Once we sort of got my momentum, that was it. It was no stopping me now.
So how did you go about learning how to run a business then? Because you obviously started it fairly young. Tell me about some of the things that happened during that setup phase.
Well, yeah, the setup phase it's difficult because there is advice out there. So places like Business Gateway, I spoke to them. I also had a lot of help from the PSYBT. I don't know if you know, it's the Prince's Trust, but it was called in Scotland, it was called the Prince's Scottish Youth Business Trust. And it was a great organisation at the time. And it would help you with little sessions to discuss about accountancy, sales and marketing, all these different things, and how it would apply to your business. So I went along to these things and got a bit of a flavour for what I should be doing. And they offered startup loans. So I was able to go through an application process and interview and apply for a £5,000 loan to get you started up. And that's what I'd done. I was successful with that. So, and that also gave me that belief that they trusted in my business plan as well, that they were like, no, you know, there is an opportunity here. Yeah. You've got all this commercial fit-out experience from down south. You've got your engineering experience. You can talk to people. You'll be able to engage with clients. You can do this if you just get the opportunities, if you persevere. And that motivation, going along to their events, just got me going, managed to get a few opportunities and make them work.
Yeah, great. And so you run a very successful operation now, clearly, you know, multiple divisions. What are some of the learnings you've taken along the way that have gotten you to where you are today?
There's a lot. I mean, I'm still learning now. I'm still I still approach each day just with you know, what's going on. I like to be in touch with all our team to find out what's going on, and I think that's important, is that you are in good communication, or you're available to people. I think the guys that I've worked with would all agree that I'm approachable, and they can talk to me about anything, whether that's projects going well, projects not going so well, or issues they may have just personally and things like that. That, you know, we can help to work through things like that, and building that team. Yeah, where we've all got a kind of mission to go forward with. I mean, I've got staff here that have been sort of 15, 16 years have been with me, and it's been able to kind of harness that growth alongside their ambitions as well, to try and get us all going in the same direction. I guess that's probably the most important thing for internally, is that we get the team together going on one direction. And then in terms of the client side of things, really listening to what your clients are looking for and trying to find out what their thoughts and aims are, because we want to deliver a successful project for them. We don't want to be like, yeah, okay, it ticks the boxes. It's got to be more than that. It's got to be really, you've got to push the boundaries all the time. And that's what we try and do, is to really find out what their absolute deliverables are, and then go, well, what else could we add to that? And then maybe upsell what the other things that we could offer, show them past examples, look to the market, see what else other people are up to. We've got one right now. We've got an office fit out in Edinburgh that is, the clients came to me right at very early stages, no lease signed, nothing. And first of all, we're going through how many people can get in here and optimizing meeting rooms, and it's very important to them, the breakout space, which is part of the modern office culture, that people want flexibility, they want hybrid working, they want to come in and have a relaxed office environment, or maybe not at their desk, they have somewhere to go to that they can just chill, and maybe take their laptop with them, just to go, I just need away from this desk for a wee minute and I need to go and sit in. So I reckon in the past, if you go back 10, 15 years, you would end up with a very bland tea prep, tables, chairs. And it would just, there would be no spirit in that space. Whereas now we're going to them, and that's sort of the remit we've been given, really, is just to do that. But no, we've gone, well, let's have a look at it here. It's a big space. What about if we get some high tables and some stools in here, and we drop some raft ceilings and some cool lighting, and maybe turn, it's not a tea prep, let's turn it into, although a bar style. Let's have stools and foot rails and illuminated shelves for coffee flavorings, and but it's got to have the functionality, it's got to have the wall unit, it's got to have the base units, it's got to have the clean surfaces, it's got to have the boiling water taps these days, it's got to have the coffee machines, it's got to have, and you've got to see if you kind of get an idea, and then you just try and grow it with the client and go, well, what about this, and then it becomes an attractive space with different flooring from the office, and it's a totally different atmosphere, so they can walk away from their desk and they feel like, I'm just going to hang out here for a wee half hour until I'm ready to go back in. And that's one of the enjoyable things about being involved in the early stages of a project. The client is trying to get the absolute musts, and then kind of build on them. And it doesn't need to always be all that much more expensive, but you can just use the budget that you have to try and get the best for them. And that's what I really quite enjoy, working with the team to come up with these things. And when they see in the client's face, when they go, yeah, okay, right, I'm really into this design now. And that's quite a good buzz from that. Yeah.
It sounds like it's really design led, more so than I think I expected. So have you got people in the team that specialize in that, or is that something else you've learned along the way?
We do. We've got architecturally, we outsource. We've got several architect practices that we deal with and we get great relationships with across the country, depending on region. Mechanically and electrically, we do in-house. We have chartered engineers, and we can work that out. So when we're giving a scheme, that we can actually design up, whether that's a heating or a cooling element or electrically, lighting designs, we can look at these things and make sure that we are going to optimize the environment for the client, so it's not only so it's uncomfortable for them and environmentally friendly as well. And so it's working with them on this side of things. But in the past, what we've had is, in the very early days, I would tend to be just landed a tender pack or pack of documents. This is what you must do. And I was given a lot of opportunities in the early days by what we would call main contractors, and they are the big hitters across the UK, and they would be always looking for subcontractors to come in and do packages of work. and it was very regimented. This is exactly your remit, and I'm sure it's well prepared, and everything will be bang on in it. But you are only a cog in that sort of machine, and it leaves you to you come back to your question of design. There is very little design involved because it's all been done. They're not interested in your ideas. It's all, they've already spent probably a year or two involved in it before it actually gets to us. So it's kind of disheartening being involved in that process. And then you are also just, you're at their mercy generally through the project as well, which is a learning that we went through, and eventually through some bad experiences really learned that, this is not the way this is not the business I wanted to get into. And we're trying, it's the long, slow road, but you're trying to work towards dealing with clients directly yourselves. That's the way that I've always looked at it, is that it might take a lot more time because it's not easy to get introductions for a nationwide retail chain with a property department, not even possibly located in the UK. It can take a long time to get to know the right people and get their confidence as well. And but now that we've sort of done that, one leads to another, to another, and so it took quite a long time, but we have managed to get there. And so when you get to that stage, coming back to your question about design, is that you are able to influence the project in the early stages to make suggestions at a higher level, not necessarily maybe do the complete design at all, but maybe just offer up suggestions that are perhaps easier to, in a construction sense, to complete, and but they might be more efficient environmentally. It might be, and it might just give a better environment for the clients, whether it's members, customers, whatever the operations are.
So who would be an ideal kind of client for you then? I know you work with some really big names across the UK. What would an ideal client look like for you?
Yeah, well, I don't really want to go into specific names because we do have confidentiality agreements and things like that I want to uphold. And but we have dealt with some of the top high street retailers, whether it's clothing names or food beverage offerings, anything that you will have seen up and down the country in pretty much every town or city we've worked in. We've worked in Lerwick and Shetland. We've worked in Northern Ireland and several of the town cities. We've been in Dublin, Cork. We've been city centre London. We've been just last month. We were in Farnham. We have a Newcastle, Sunderland, Manchester project coming up. We do have lots of projects across the UK and Ireland that we work for. So that can be a retail side of things. On the office sides, we have some independent firms that we deal with commercial property landlords that we work with. We deal with a lot of the project managers, building surveyors, quantity surveyors from the firms around, especially Glasgow and Edinburgh. We've got some great relationships with the firms in these areas. And like IT manufacturers, like international firms that we've done big office fit outs for, or dilapidation works, or office moves, maybe people moves, or bespoke server rooms, data centers for them, where there's a big demand on cooling and electrical and all these things. And the leisure as well. We deal with some premium fitness clubs as well, where we fit out. We've done one recently where it was a full gym fit out with lighting, ventilation, all these different aspects to it, include shower rooms, changing rooms, some of these really bespoke high-end spin fit kind of yoga class rooms and things like that, where it's some have got somewhat high intensity, so it's maybe the same size square meters, but somewhat high intensity. So it's all about the music, the lighting, so we're quite dim, 9 TV screens on the wall, punch bags, treadmills, weights, free weights, and it's all about motivation. And it's really great to watch, and it's really popular. And then you get the other side of it where it's a real chilled atmosphere. And like I say, it might be the same square meters, but it's a completely different, like the ceiling colours, the floor coverings, it's very mellow and chilled out, and you go in there and your idea is to kind of relax. And so it's great working in these different environments as well. So that's the sort of thing we do.
It sounds like you've got some great clients, and it must be a testimony to the good job that you do, that such big people are taking you on. So you touched there on team and having the team all moving in the same direction or pulling in the same way. How do you do that? How do you get the team engaged to all pull together?
It's just about sharing the mission, really, and talking about what we're doing. We've shared good experience, we've shared bad experiences before in the past, and we go, how do we learn from this? Or what could we, even if it's a successful project, it's like, great, but next time, what can we do extra? And it's, I guess you've just got to have that sort of inbuilt in you to really say, that was all right, but, and it's not a criticism, it's just we like to kind of reflect on it and go, you know what, next time we get to this, or somebody maybe done something, like we've had when new members of staff have came on board and they've looked at things differently, or they brought a different experience, and I'm completely open to that. I would be completely, you know, I'm more than happy to take on new ideas and look at things and go, wow, that's a really good idea doing that. And we're perhaps even simple as maybe reporting to the client with audits and photographs more often than we would have, to enable them, because it can be remote, the client's not going to be there all the time, and just offering them that, here we are, this is where we are right now, perhaps a wee video or something like that, and just really getting that, what can we always do to be better? And so by discussing it as a team, and finding out what their individual aspirations are as well, and where they would like to go, and offering career advancement as well as and showing that you could get to, you know, you could do this, but we need to work on these skills, or there's these courses available to help you get to that. Completely open to this, investing in our own, investing in training, absolutely. To make us all better, and do it myself. I still do courses myself to you know, brush up on skills and learn new things, and so I think I'll always be like that. I think I always just I like learning.
I like that learning culture that you're cultivating within the office. And there's a phrase, isn't there? You've got to learn before you earn. And I guess if we all take part in learning, it's good, because sometimes we kind of leave it at the school gate when we leave, don't we? But having that attitude that you seem to have ingrained in your team is an admirable one.
Yeah, I think it's also about, I don't mind doing the learning side of things, but people need to, I want to challenge them as well. You know, this is not just some easy journey we're on here. No, it's not like that as well. They've got to really contribute, and they've got to be challenging themselves. And a very important thing to me is completing things. I don't like seeing things unfinished, and that really applies to training as well, that I'm going to do this course, and you catch up with them a couple of months later, it's happening with the course, and it's yeah, I'm trying to get a book and I'm going to look it up. I'm like, you know, okay, next time it's like, yeah, there's no dates available. Okay, yeah, and that becomes this, or perhaps they've started. I remember getting really good advice about when I'd done mechanical engineering at university, and when I was doing it, it wasn't just about that course, and it doesn't narrow your focus as you get older from university, that you are only going to do mechanical engineering at all. But you see, if you can show that you can complete a university degree, then I get a lot of CVs in, especially when we're recruiting, and you can see the ones that haven't finished. They started but didn't finish. That, you know, and that sends out a bad signal, if I'm honest. But that, you know, you need, even if they've done something, perhaps a language, or it was something different, but they completed it. And you go, well, you know what, this person is a completer. You know, they can get things complete, and then I think that sends it. So I try and mention that to our team in here as well. That we've got, you know, if you're going to start something, you've got to finish it. You know, you've got to make sure you complete that. I remember getting that advice very early before I finished university, and you know, some things just register with you, and they just stick. And that was one of the conversations that I was like, oh yeah, I completely understand that. Yeah.
So what do you think are the biggest challenges you're going to face in your industry in the next 3 or 4 years?
The next 3 or 4 years, yeah, because it has over the 19, it's been, when you think back to the challenges it had, whether it's financial crashes, independence referendums, COVID, all these things. I keep saying, can we not just get away 3-year spell of
Nothing.
just plain sailing?
Yeah.
It's never happening, isn't it? Politics these days is just uproar from every side, isn't it? Nobody can suggest a policy without it getting the total backlash from all other parties, can they? So it's politics are just I don't think that's ever going to calm down in any sort of way. But the biggest challenges for the next 3 or 4 years, I think we are looking ahead to net zero. Clients are starting to engage a little bit more in it. It's I think you'll see it more in the press coverage of bigger property, new build properties, perhaps, where they like to talk about all their initiatives that they're working to, and that's fine. At the smaller commercial properties, clients still don't see the value in spending the extra money to get to use renewable energy. They just don't get the payback on it. I know that we've done some recently. We've done a heating system for a government building, and we had the option of putting in a solar thermal system as well as part of it, and they just declined because no one was making them. So they had the option to say no, and because it was us offering a bit extra on the design side, and it was going to cost more. It was only going to cost, I don't want to mention numbers, but let's say it would have paid back within 3 years. They'd have got the payback, and they are in there for at least another 10. So they're going to get the money back, but it's just, you know what? Nah, let's just stick to what we know. So I think we'll see a change in culture there. But I'd like to think that we are well placed for that with our mechanical and electrical background, that we understand what we can offer to clients, and we understand the limitations. It's not suitable for all properties, or if you're within perhaps a larger building, you have to look at what's already there, or perhaps your landlord's providing a certain amount of services and you need to tie into that in some way. But what can we do beyond it? What can we do to with heat recovery units and air source heat pumps and things? I deal with a marine operating company, and they have remote locations. So we're always talking about mainly air source heat pumps that we use. They've got some biomass as well, and perhaps ground source in the future, but being at the coast tends to be quite dense terrain underneath them. But it's really, I think for the next 3 or 4 years, it's about these challenges and trying to, I think we'll see a change in culture where more companies, smaller companies, are starting to go see the benefit in it. And that will be, I'd like to think we're well placed to offer good advice to the client and be competitive as well in cost terms.
Yeah, sounds good. And so if you're starting over again, what would you do differently, Andrew?
Well, it's a good question. What would I do differently? I mean, a lot of you've got to go through these experiences, haven't you? You've got to go through the good times and the bad times. You learn a lot from bad times. You do. Yeah. And I am. So, you know, would we be where we are now without going through those challenges? I'm not so sure we would. And it's but there are some things that I would give to me starting out again. And it's, I think I always had that belief, but you need to always believe in yourself that you can do it. You can absolutely do it, because there is not, how would I word this? There is not some upper level club where everyone else knows something you don't. That does not exist. And see, as you get older, you kind of break through these areas, and all of a sudden you realize that you're one of these people that is kind of invited to these networking events or whatever. And it's when you're the younger person trying to break through that what is it that they do that I'm not? Why am I not there? And it's like actually nothing. nothing. They're all going back to their desks and doing the same work that you're doing. So just, have that and a belief that, you're absolutely going to get there if you work hard enough. I think there are lessons that I've learned. That there are people out there that you will do business with that tell you everything is going to be good, and it's not. And I have had experiences like that I would go, watch who you're dealing with, because they'll perhaps overpromise, and you will not get what you were expecting. And whether that was their intent at the beginning or not, who knows? But there's and I can give you an example. We done, where was this? It was 5 or no, I think it might be as many as 11 actually. It was 11 different properties, supermarkets that required an adaptation to them in a sort of back of house area. And we carried out this work, and the first one went well, paid. Second one went well, paid. Third one, they brought up an issue, didn't pay. Fourth, you've got to do the fourth one though, because you're on this program. You've got to do the next one. You've got to be on the next one. So the payments start to slow down, and then you're getting to 8, 9, and 10 haven't been paid for, and so it's sort of stretching everything financially. You're really keeping on top of the finances is very important. You've got to know exactly what these payment dates are. Have good terms with your supply chain. Make sure that you can you have the balance sheet to be able to make it work. And so it got to the point where they were all complete and they'd failed to pay. And this is a PLC business I'm talking about here. This is not just these are they're regulated, and so they eventually the dispute gets resolved, and they make an agreement, and that's it. We're all happy. Everything's finally accounted. We've signed off. We've got the certificates. This is what you're going to pay. This is when you're going to be paid it. And then payment date comes, nothing paid, and you go through that. And what's going on? You're almost embarrassed phoning up and going, what's going on here? All right, and typically they'll get back to you a day or two later, and then they'll another excuse and then another excuse, and then they come up with the real reason, and then they just spin you along. And I think if I was starting out again, I would learn that you don't want to get into these situations. You've got to have breaks. You've got to cut off so you don't overcommit and go, well, no. And this ended up with me going down to their office and having to meet the finance director of the PLC business unannounced, just to tell them, look, this ends now. I said, you've got the payment service. I said, we don't want to have to go legal after everything we've been through here. And they eventually admitted to me, they're face to face. They said that we wanted to keep the cash because we've got our end of year accounts, and we wanted our cash balances as high as they could be. And they told me to, straight to my face, that's why. I was like, none of this is, how can you hold a company to that, hold that against us when it's got nothing to do with us? He says, I know. I said, so don't worry. And I said, well, we're not, let's get that payment now. He said, okay. I said, no, we're not going until you paid it. Oh, I'd have to set up the electronic transfer. That's another one that people like to say, the payment date is next Friday.
They hadn't even set it up yet.
He'd done it. He'd done it within an hour of me saying, no, I'll wait till you do it. They have the power to do it. It's just whether they choose to do it or not. So you learn these lessons and go, you know what, that story's just completely came back to me there. And it's, imagine putting small businesses through that. That's just on, is it? And I know they try and put new schemes in place to make sure that payments are always fed through, but there's always people like that maybe got another motive. Their motive in that time was to make sure the cash reserves were as high as they could possibly be for the cut-off date of the end of your accounts. Now, yes, of course, it would mean the creditors were up, but they didn't care about that. He was told to keep the cash high. And so that's it. You go through little experiences like that, and you think, I'm not saying you've got to be suspicious of everybody, but you do business with people, and you've got to really know who it is that you're dealing with. But once you get to that trust level where you have done successful projects with people, you bounce off each other as well and help each other out. And there really is that. I do enjoy those projects where where you really work together as a team. So that might be clients, consultants, contractors, and you really are going, this is a challenge. We were heavily involved in the Edinburgh St James's Centre
really?
When that was kicking off. So there was a full new mall that was getting built, and we were doing 2 shops in it at the same time. And it's a real challenge. It's Edinburgh City Centre first and foremost, and it's COVID. We're just starting to get back from COVID, and so there was all sorts of requirements there. But there was a real team mentality about it, and everybody was really working together. And that was a great team to be a part of, where you just knew, if we had a problem, we could talk to the client, we could talk to the consultants and go, what can we do to get by this? And likewise, when they had a problem, they could come to us and go, what can we do to get by this? And we were, rather than it be, no, you must follow this document to the letter, it was like, well, oh, actually, there's an option here, or we can go back to the client and ask this, or we can do anything, because there was real difficulty sourcing materials and all sorts of things like that. So flexibility, being able to work with people, that was another good experience that yeah, we've learned a lot from.
Sounds good. So, just to finish up then, if you were to give anyone else any advice that you've learned over the years, just what would it be? Anyone else starting out in business, what would your advice be?
Just go for it, first and foremost. Why not? There is, you only live once, and it's if you think that you've got something to offer, if you think that you've got a skill or an offering or something that you think that people want, then absolutely go for it. I would say, don't make sure that you do your research, do your market research. Not everything's going to work. So you really need to be well prepared. So how are your finances going to work? Probably start with that, because it is the most important thing. And then look at your market research. Look at who's going to work with you. What are they? Can you depend on them? Are they, if you're a new start business, you can't rely on one person that's maybe going to be doing other work elsewhere.
Yeah.
Who's really going to deliver this for you? And do your clients want it? Is there an absolute need for it? And if so, go for it. But once you've got that, I kind of feel like I'm doing that interview at the Prince's Trust that I done at the beginning, and that's almost what they were asking me. They were just checking, have you really researched this? Have you definitely got a need for it? How are you going to finance it? And how are you going to make it work? And it's like that. These are the basics. It's not changed in all my years of business, and it's so it's getting that across to somebody that's really, that's where you've got to start. And if you can nail that, then absolutely, if you put the effort in, it's going to work for you. And yeah, believe in yourself. Totally.
Yeah. Believe in yourself. You said that twice. That's good advice. And it reminds me of that phrase, is there a gap in the market, but is there a market in the gap? Just make sure that there are customers there. So look, tons of advice from you this morning, Andrew. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom, and we wish you all the best for the future.
No problem. Okay, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.